This is my dad, Al Scheibel, who died March 9th at age 96. I've been thinking a lot about him as Father's Day approaches, with all the good memories and stories. I wondered what other people who have lost their fathers do on Father's Day, and so I stopped by the Weymouth Senior Center to find out. I asked a few people, do you have any special memory or story about your father? What qualities do you remember the most? Here's what they said.
My favorite memory of my dad was when we were kids, because there were 5 of us all home, and he used to put his jackets on the kitchen chair. And in those days, the kitchen chair was a wooden chair, not very sturdy. So every time he would take a jacket off, he would put the chair there. It would stay there for months.
He'd put the jacket on the chair.
Jackets on the chair, so that any time when we'd go by the chair, all of a sudden it would tip over. And it would be all over the floor.
What was your dad's name?
Anthony Luciano.
And where did you grow up?
Quincy. Yep.
And will you do anything this Father's Day in particular?
I'll go to Mount Wollaston and pay my respects to my dad.
What was the best lesson he taught you in life?
Oh, be a good person. Good heart. He was always good-hearted. When we were all home, those were the days when, you ate what we had. And my father was a great one for making pasta fazool, which stressed, you could feed a whole army with pasta fazool.
Well, he was a very stern Irishman.
Where did you grow up?
In Dorchester.
Did he have any lesson that he taught you that you still remember?
Oh, I certainly do. I remember a lot of the lessons he had. Don't loan your tools out. That was number 1.
That's
Number
a good
2,
one.
don't tell lies. He hated people that told lies. Tell the truth, even if you knew it was going to hurt you. We learned that from him. And my mother told me, if you're smart, you'll tell the truth in front of him, because I got caught a couple of times. And it backfired on me, and I paid for it dearly. I mean, by a good beating.
He probably was brought up pretty strict himself, you know?
Yes, he came from Ireland, and very staunch Irish parents, Catholic, and everything had to be by the book.
Do you have some fond memories of him?
Yeah, he was a very quiet man. He could have had the title, the quiet man. If everything was going along fine, you'd never know he was there.
What kind of work did he do? He was probably a laborer.
He worked on the foundry for years and years, and then he did a lot of boat building on the side. And a hard worker all his life, a very, very hard worker. Would think nothing of shoveling snow at 4:30 in the morning out on the sidewalk with my mother yelling at him, come in, it's 4:30 in the morning, gonna wake the neighbors up. He would just shovel his snow, and like he was the only one in the world.
He was a Boston policeman, and he only had 3 daughters, and I was the oldest, and I was like a son to him. I learned how to wallpaper and paint and do all kinds of things with him.
What was his name?
James Patrick O'Malley.
Was there one lesson he gave to you growing up? One thing he said to you that you sometimes think about, or?
Well, most of the time he was saying, stand up straight. But he was just a loving, wonderful father. We had a cottage down Howe's Neck where we used to go every summer. And I would go down with him when he took the boards off the windows and put the screens up with them. And I had to wash all the dishes because the mice were in the cottage all winter. I was painting. He was gone. He had died. And I was trying to get into the corner, and I could hear him say to me, feather your brush, Pat, feather your brush. And that was what he taught me, how he taught me how to paint. And I got into the corner fine.
The old Irish, they weren't demonstrative. In those days, they weren't demonstrative anyway. That you knew you were loved, but there was none of this, I love you every 5 minutes. We were in the subway, and here he's got at least 3 of us, little ones, but I was the youngest, maybe 4 or 5 years old. And I was just thrilled with the subway. Jordan Marsh always had a window display in the subway, and I couldn't believe it. I wanted to touch the people that were up on the display, and I went to walk up there, and my nose hit the glass, and I was so stunned, and I ride. And my father put me on his knee. We got on the subway train, and my father put me on his knee, and you'll be all right. And he hugged me and he kissed me. And I can't ever remember another time in my life that he did that. But father's parents in those days weren't like, you know, you knew 8 kids, we knew we were all loved, we loved one another. The lessons that he taught us were, don't you dare do anything you shouldn't do. If anybody, say one of the neighbors was walking by the house and they had a squeaky carriage, he'd say, come, I'll fix your carriage. And he'd grease it all up for them. And, you know, he was very good about doing little things like that. And everything had to be just so.
This is Sue Scheibel, staff reporter for the Patriot Ledger and Gatehouse Media New England. For more coverage, see the Good Age column in today's newspaper or go to patriotledger.com.
Hello, Sue. My Medicare number is 073-10-7761A. I'll repeat it, 073